ABC 10, Sean Cunningham, thrilled to be joined by a guy that I've known, man, it's been almost 20 years. And Kings fans, I mean, five-time All-Star, Kings legend, Chris Webber, you see him. Everyone knows him here in Sacramento, and he's about to do some big things here in Sacramento. We'll get to that in a minute because he's just got so much going on. But I got to start because, well, first of all, man, how are you doing? 20 years? That's crazy.
Hey, man. Hey, we've known each other a long time. That means we're getting old, man. But we had some good times along the way. But yeah, it's hard to believe it's been that long. But hey, at least we're here and having fun. Our families are healthy, so all good things, man.
Man, that's great. That's great. And I appreciate, I have to start right there because I often get asked a lot because people know, if they don't know, you're kind of a huge reason why I do what I do, why I've had the success that I've had. And I'm going to start right there because, people ask me, they're like, how are you and him so cool? Like, why do you guys gel so well? Why do you guys get along? And I used to say, man, he treats everybody like that. Like, he's just this charismatic dude that just treats everyone like that. But maybe there's a little bit more to it. So I never asked you that question. Like, what worked between you and I that just you gave me so much access early in your career here in Sacramento?
I just saw you grinding, and anybody that's grinding and ask and keep going and keep going and keep going. Perseverance is everything. So, you're a young kid coming out the locker room after we lose and we're pissed off. You got to have a lot of nerve to ask us, and you have to be patient because if we're hurt after the game and like, no, I'll catch you next time, Sean. The fact that you didn't get an attitude or the fact that you just kept persevering was like, I got you, even on those frustrating days. So it really was about your work ethic, seeing you around. And, I think too, the fact that you asked, like you weren't afraid to ask. And, to any young reporters out there, anybody out there want to be in the business, one of the best things about Sean, besides being professional and all the things you have to learn your craft and understand it, but you got to get out your comfort zone. And I've seen a lot of people bring personal ego into it. And I'm not going to go over there and ask Shaq for a question. And if you go over there and ask, you don't even know it's going to, you're going to be like, dang, I only wanted a 5-minute answer. We're here 30 minutes. And so I think a lot of it is just, I saw you in those vulnerable situations. I saw how you handled your business, and you're a cool dude, man. So it was easy.
No, I appreciate that, man. Checks in the mail. No.
Exactly. 75-25. I need like $75 an hour.
I mean, I had to ask because, it's interesting because, I'll never forget my first year covering the Kings, and we're going to date us both here, but is the 01-02 season. 2001, I got the little bit of the 01 season. And I remember after the Lakers series, which I know was just an awful memory, but after that, I see you up in Tahoe, and I was a familiar face, a little bit more of a familiar face. And really that Lake Tahoe interview we did at the golf tournament up there in the limo, I still remember to this day. Mm-hmm. And to hear you ask me like, hey, what do you guys see around? What do you do? Blah, 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 blah. Are you covering us? All this stuff. And it meant the world to me. And you actually left a voicemail on my program director's recording that I left on his voicemail. And to this day, I think that slingshotted everything. But it was just incredible. And to go from there and then, really get my feet wet and have to, go through the highs and lows of your career was just an incredible ride. So I can't thank you enough for that.
Hey, I thank you. And you don't owe me anything, but I know you're going to pay it forward, whether it's with the intern, whether it's with giving some kids knowledge or whatever, helping some people in the industry. So it's all love, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And to think, we've come a long way in terms of just media and the sports landscape to where we are today. And I think of you and can't imagine what it would have been like if, like, you were a polarizing player, still are a polarizing figure, but social media didn't exist back then. And I just wonder how that could have impacted your life in a different way had that existed when you were a player.
I don't know. I don't mind being polarizing. I don't want to be liked by everybody. I hope my mother and my father are proud of me. And I hope my children and my wife are proud of me. Besides that, man, I believe in God. I believe in the Lord. I believe in faith. And I'm not with putting all my business on social media or trying to win a popularity contest. If those that hopefully come to my funeral that were true friends have some good words and some laughs about me and I've helped some people along the way, then that's really, what matters. As we've seen with mental health and people talking about it, I have a lot of peers that everything seems great, and it's really tough behind those walls. And so I just think everybody should just really just live their life and be as thankful and forgiving as we can as possible. And that's just the way I try to do it. So I'm actually glad there was no social media. I would not have put more on there except us, and we got cheated after game 6 or something. That's it.
No, I know that. I know it when it's a topic of discussion to this day. And I think
I got to bring it up just to start something, man.
I don't think we've had a conversation. I don't think we've had a conversation that didn't go back to game 6.
And I hope we never do. As long as I can say it and we get back to business, it's okay.
That's awesome. And when you think, again, the highs and lows with you and me being this young reporter at the time, going into where I got to admit to you, the toughest moment I ever had with you, it wasn't your fault at all. But this is where it opened my eyes to the industry. And I feel like I can tell you this now because, you're in the media too, so to speak. But, I had to be tasked when there was a report that came out. And this is why I bring up the social media aspect, because when you were dating Tyra Banks at the time, there was a report that you had gotten engaged. And here you are playing this game against Tim Duncan and the Spurs, and you won that game. And it was this incredible battle. But yet I'm looking at my task, and they told me I got to ask you about it after the game. And I'm like, this is crazy. And the whole time I'm fretting it. And maybe it was a good thing you guys won that game, because I was like, man, if he loses this shit, this is going to be horrible for me. Like, it really is. And so to your credit, I asked you, it was the first damn question in the scrum, which was just awful. I asked you the question. You answer it. You were great about it. The way I asked it too, I said, do you want to dispel some rumors for me? I have to ask you this question. You answered it. Then you thanked me for asking it. And I was so embarrassed, I left the scrum. Fast forward a couple weeks later, and obviously it becomes what it becomes. And we have the rant that became famous in the locker room. And
I forgot about the rant.
No, I didn't. There's video of that shit. So I had to bring it up. But I just, I always wondered about that, because that was probably my lowest moment. I said, this is not what I want to do. But because you handled it the way you did, I thought more power to you, because you could have totally leveled me on that.
Well, I think, now that you explain it, I think, even myself being in this business, I don't go up to someone and go, hey, what happened the other day? I mean, that's just rude, I mean, it's just not good people person skills. So I could definitely see the way you're asking it, letting me know, and doing your job. It was cool. I think what happened was that there was like articles in the paper where we had been, what we had done, and I got that we had to talk about it, but at the same time, I was making a decision to stay in Sacramento, and Sacramento was supposed to stay the same. It wasn't supposed to turn tabloid like LA, or I could have gone to LA. I stayed in Sacramento to be with Sacramento fans, to be there. And the fact that it's so small, and you're going to Mel's Diner, or you're going to these places, the fans were great about it. But what it was a list of everything that we had done that weekend. Going to this movie, going to this place. It was addresses of where we're going. So now what happens in the small, it just, it's part of the business. And now that I look back, though, that rant was good for business. I know they made money off that rant. I know they still make money off that rant, because the video still gets views. So everybody wins. Don't try to make me the bad guy when I make money for you. For a rant that I should. And, it's none of your business what me and my wife do today. You know what I mean? Unless we're talking in another context. So I still think, I look at it like, man, with sports. So everybody was on Kyrie, right? Walking stick and all of this stuff. It's wrestling. You got Nikolai Volkov over here, right? Whether he's from Russia or not, or we don't believe he has nuclear weapons. You got the Sheik over here. He hates Big John Studd. You got Big John Studd. Like, he's a character in this. And if we in the media really appreciate the sport, then we'll appreciate every unique, different character and personality, because it makes up basketball. We don't want, this to be the Stepford Basketball Association when everybody's born. That's what we, in the Fab Five, broke up. Was the Stepford basketball, was playing for Bobby Knight, him hitting you with a belt, or you not being able to have a mustache, but you can die and more at the same age. or you can't have a tattoo. Like, my father is my father. I don't need a coach to be my father. My father is the most disciplined man I know. And so culturally, if my father allows it, then you as a coach, just do your job and coach. And so I think that, we break a lot of norms, and whether it was part of it in there or part of what I do now, I'm definitely part of forwarding and being progressive, whether it's telling stories from athletes and it's no longer narratives from people who have a lot of money and want to frame us in an action, or whether it's just us taking power and saying, I played this game for 15 years professionally. I have something to say, and hopefully I can say it in a way that fans will love it. So it's definitely been a journey with me with the media, one that I love and appreciate, and one, though, that has to respect boundaries as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because Sacramento being that, I think at the time you came to Sacramento, outside of you, I think the biggest star was like Eddie Murphy. And so you brought a Hollywood aspect to Sacramento that it didn't normally have.
And again, the media and the people are two different things. And I always say this. I signed back in Sacramento for a few reasons: to win a championship, to be there for the people that embraced me, that loved me before I got there and just kept supporting me, the fans. And then, to win them a championship after I won them one playing. I thought I'd be with the organization. So, my heart's always been on the table, and that's not something I'm ashamed of. My love for Sacramento, for that team, for the organization now, and having the one to get a part of.
I know it comes up a lot when you do interviews about, not wanting to go to Sacramento at the time and how that first practice kind of changed things, and seeing the talent around you, and, not Jeff Petrie not giving into your demand to maybe get that trade to the Lakers, like you mentioned a little while ago.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, Eldon Campbell, Eddie Jones, come on now.
Yeah, and Nick Van Exel.
And Nick Van Exel. Well, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
But when I think about that, and I know that's the reason why you always say, that first practice and seeing Vlade and seeing Jay Will and seeing what could be there, seeing Coach Carrill and the ball movement, I get all that. But that still didn't necessarily represent, like, that was the team, but then there was Sacramento, and you fly in and it's farmland everywhere. You would never know that it's in, like, the most diverse city in the country. And in fact, even as of 2020, Stockton, Oakland, Sacramento, top 3 most diverse cities in the country.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
The only reason, and at one time I had to quit telling the story about how I didn't like Sac before I got there, because I could see people going, come on, all right, we got that, but we Sac. But no one ever hears this part. I stayed for the people. Right. Like, no one ever hears that. Like, me and Jay Will took a couple $1,000s and bought pizza for people in line, because we were like, we made the playoffs and y'all did this for us, like, y'all really did this. This is no Instagram. You didn't do it for likes. It was going up there, talking to guys, and them sitting out with beers, hanging out and just being excited to talk to us, and we being excited to talk to them. It was just that simple. And so me working in the communities the way that I have and still continue is because I love the communities there. I love the people that are putting their heart and souls in the community in Sacramento. And so whether it's being a private person or not telling what I do in the community, I'm glad that the community leaders in Sacramento know what I do. And I'd like to say hello to all of them and keep doing what they're doing. I'm just trying to support them. But I don't try to talk about it, I try to do it. And the people of Sacramento definitely, and the team is why I stayed. But once I saw that environment, I mean, whether it's the cowbells, whether it's saying hi to people at a restaurant, whether it's being at Rayleigh's, getting some groceries, it was the people. When I'm back there now, I get excited because of the people. It's the people that are from Sacramento. It's the people that bled and cried and screamed and made signs with us, And so whenever I think about not winning, I think about the guys on my team in that city. I think about Ann Arbor from Michigan, or I think about Sacramento. I don't think about myself. I'm okay. I definitely would want to win, but I wanted to win so I could, do the Tom Brady and throw the trophy in the fans. Because so yeah, man, I love the city, and it was about the people, Sean.
Yeah, and then that's what I was going to ask. I mean, because once you saw that practice, that was one thing. But what was the moment where you realized, all right, I get it. This town, these people, it is different. It is a different vibe, and it'll work.
Corliss took me on like S Street or something, and we were hanging out. We were buying some records earlier, And it's so funny because I didn't want to come to Sac. I called Billy Owens, who had played there, and I thought maybe didn't like it. He was like, "Oh, you're gonna love it here." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Man, the people." He was like, "You get a bad rap, you got to come here." He was like, "You got to be here a week." He was like, "You're here a week," you know. And so just hanging out with Corliss, man, hanging out with Marty McNeil, rest in peace. Him taking me out to dinner to local restaurants to see the people there in Sacramento. And so they knew everything from, you know, I love nature. So they would talk about how many trees are there. They knew that I loved different communities and everything. I think I lived in a pocket when I first got there, and, you know, moved around. So it was just, man, what did it was going around with ball players, going around with them in the community, hanging out, seeing what the environment was. And it was easy. It was laid back. It was good people. You respect each other, respect privacy. They're crazy games and clubs and things like that. You love it. And so to me, really the first week, it was like, man, this, you know, my mother knew it ahead of time when I was on the plane upset. She was saying, "Baby, this is for you." And, you know, she saw it first, but definitely the people of Sacramento validated that.
Did that trade because you re-signed and then they trade Jason Williams, did that make you go, damn, like I just re-upped and he's part of it? And even though you're getting someone like Mike Bibby, did those feelings start to creep up again? Like, man, what are we doing?
Yeah, you know, I was definitely hurt when Jay was traded, but also, you know, he wasn't being played late in the games, in the playoffs, things like that. And so him being a teammate, I wanted him, and him being a friend, I wanted him to find that personal success he was looking for. Because it's, you know, you see a guy going through, you know, wanting to play, not getting time, that type of stuff. So it definitely was tough then, but we had built something. And, you know, I was hoping that he could win one, and wherever he went, as long as that didn't take away from us. And I thought we were on a journey to hopefully still be able to get something done. But yeah, it definitely, you know, it took something from my spirit, you know, when he left, because he was such a big personality, you know, and is such a close friend of mine in Sacramento.
And you got Mike Bibby, who ended up being a lifelong friend and a great teammate. And you guys did all right.
Yeah, we did. I mean, both of those guys are my lifelong friends. I saw Jason in the bubble, got to see him on the golf course with his crazy ass. And Mike Bibby, you know, we started off where Jason and I left off, because Mike got to see our style. You know, we had the top pace in the league and all that with Jason play. So it was easy for him to try to come in and keep going with it. And he had different skill sets, and he used them to the best of his ability. And you know, Mike Bibby, Bobby Jackson, Doug, you know, I love all those guys, man. And it was an honor to play with them. And, you know, you definitely want to win a championship. But in life, I think you want to play with people, live with people, have family members that you could lose with. And what I mean by that is there's no guarantees. The only guarantees are the personalities and the spirit in each individual. And I knew that the spirit in each individual, from Blade, Peja, Corliss when we first got there, Jimmy Jackson and others that got there later. You know, I think, you know, management did a great job of bringing in kindred spirits. And that's why the journey's unforgettable. And I wouldn't trade it for any experience someone else had on another team that won a championship, because this was my experience. This was our experience collectively. And I have memories that championships don't make or break. When it comes to these guys. Would I have wanted one? Of course. Of course. But I'm not trading the memories that I have for, you know, what ifs and things like that. So it was an honor for me to play in Sacramento. It was a blessing. It was the biggest blessing of my professional career. And I thank God for it. You know, that's something I don't look lightly at my time there.
No, that's well said. I do want to pause right there real quick, only because I thought it was going to improve a little bit, but the internet's a little shaky on your end. I don't know if there's a way to reposition, or if it might.
Sorry, bro.
No,
I'm at a little farm out here, and my stuff gets like crazy, man.
No, you're good. Luckily it didn't cut out. So, I mean, I still got everything. Okay. It's just a little choppy, but I can make it work. It's no big deal. I want to go from there to, you mentioned a minute ago, still wanting to work for Sacramento, wanting to be part of the organization. And I know, shout out Logan Murdoch, my guy who I helped here in Sacramento kind of get to where he is now. I take all the pride. I take all the credit for that.
Yes, sir, keep it.
I know you made some headlines recently, and I knew the story about you talking to Sacramento and wanting to be part of that. And, I always kind of kept it under my hat a little bit because we kind of wanted to see some things through, but I know that's something that's still very, very important to you, whether it's Sacramento, a front office, ownership, whatever, as you chase that championship still. What has to be the right situation for you? And do the Kings, obviously they know, but were they receptive to it? I know it hasn't happened yet, but things are a little different now.
So, Sean, yeah, so I'm glad that you framed it in that you've known a long time, and a lot of people have. So I'm not bringing this up to get anything there. I'm not, it's no ulterior motive because, again, I've been okay and I'm working on other things. But, interviewed there. I want to be part of the team. Vlade, did a wonderful job of putting the spirit of what we have in there. This was before his interview, so I'm not speaking on Vlade. I know people are going to try to dissect and try to bring all negativity out of it. But it was something where someone asked me in an interview, they made a crack as if I don't want to be in Sacramento. So sometimes, Sean, because I start from saying, hey, I didn't want to be there, to talk about what a big blessing it was, some people just get caught on that. So started talking about that and said, well, yeah, what's up with you and Sac today? I'm like, went to games last year or before the bubble. I think I came to some games last year before the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I coming to games. Yeah. I'm like, see what I'm saying? They make you doubt yourself. So I'm like, I've been going there. I love it. You see the new arena. It's crazy. And the hotel. What if we would have had it there? I talk about all this, nigga. Well, why aren't you with them now? Why did they? And I think it was just from the aspect of, you have other guys that have been with teams running their teams. So I think it's a valid question. I damn sure did my thing in Sacramento to deserve the opportunity. And I just said that, hey, it didn't happen for anything, and that's what I wanted. But very honestly, Sean, right now, in the corporate world, I'm doing things I don't have time for that right now. So I really think it was a blessing in disguise that I've been able to use my leadership skills in other areas where people trusted and believed in me, and we're making positive things happen right now. And so, I'm just cheering from afar, and the opportunity will come with the team, and when the time comes and is right, we'll look at it, assess it, and keep going forward.
There's certainly people who've been hired with a lot less experience in these types of roles. Is there that ideal role, or is there any job you would think, it's got to be this or nothing else? What would almost be a perfect situation, or even one that you would look at as, I can use this to grow to where I'd want to be ultimately?
I played basketball professionally for 15 years.
I knew you were going to say that.
I've been in my post-career now for 15 years. So I have wonderful mentors, some of the best executives and executive players, or players, ex-executives that have ever been in this game, champions. And so my thing is just continue to learn, just continue to be grateful and thankful and enjoy the game. So it's just a journey of learning, and you just got to keep moving and wait for your opportunity. And until then, keep pushing the envelope in other areas. And I'm just glad again that I've been trusted with my leadership in business, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I dove in like I've asked to.
Mm-hmm. And I know you're doing the broadcasting thing now, but one of the things I actually heard you say that no one really picked up on was that, I don't know if you definitively said it, but you said something like, this could be your last year broadcasting. What was up with that?
It was just a lot of wonderful opportunities and a lot of seeds that I planted in the past, and coming to fruition. Again, business has been a passion of mine since I was in the league, and I take it with that same ferocity now. And so I have some decisions to make, but I'm really grateful, right now to be around the game of basketball, the Wolverines and the Sweet 16. Shout out my man Juwan. And so hopefully I'll have to make a trip to the Final Four real soon. But yeah, right now I'm just really listening to my gut and to some options out there.
You've always been a busy man. I know there's only so many hours in the day, but I know the broadcasting is something you really love to do. And I got to imagine during the pandemic, it's got to be hard to do it from home or do it from a studio and not be at the game. What kind of challenge does that pose?
Yeah, it's been tough, but it's been tough for everybody. It's been tough for the players, referees. It's just been the business of basketball, and so our techs and everyone else. I think everyone's been doing the best job that they could. And for me, the reason why I wanted to be a commentator was to stay close to the game, so that from scouting reports, coaching, practices, all the things that I do, talk to the players, that I'd have somewhat of an advantage. Going into some position in higher management, whether it was following the footsteps of Mark Jackson or Kerr, even if you start before that, Doc Rivers, who was at TNT, and others like that. So it's been a great opportunity to stay close. It's been trying, but to be one of the few that could, go to the bubble and broadcast games from there, to be part of that, to be part of the boycott and to see everything, or not the boycott, but to be part of the stoppage that we saw. And to still really have some close relationships in the league is just awesome. And so it's been trying this year, but I mean, this is the line in the sand. It's just, we'll always remember this time of Corona. And I don't think that, we'll look back and say, hey, those guys' mics were timed and it was off. You know what I mean? So I'm just staying grateful through the process and have a lot of fun. And, getting to work with somebody like Marv, I don't take that for granted as a basketball historian. He's seen so many games. It's awesome to say I work with him, Dick Stockton, and others.
Yeah, it's great. And when you mentioned the bubble, I got to think your signature moment as a broadcaster came in the bubble when you mentioned a minute ago with the protesting that went on, to the heartfelt speech that you gave after what the Milwaukee Bucks did in response to the Jacob Blake shooting in Kenosha. I mean, did that resonate the way you hoped it would? And I mean, how much of that was a springboard to what you're doing now at Morehouse?
So I didn't know how it would resonate. That's the wonderful thing about working with Turner. They just called and said, hey, do you want to say something? And I rushed over. That's why I was sweating, jumping out the shower, coming over. And I didn't know. I just prayed, Lord, use me right now because it's a lot of pain inside. And so it resonated way more than I thought. But, this course that I'm doing for Coursera now, Sports and Protest and Activism, I taught the same course at Wake Forest about 6 years ago. I just don't talk about it. I talk about it on campus there because, it's 8,000 students awake and, it just, I would talk about it and maybe it didn't, mushroom, or maybe I didn't talk about it enough, but those are things that I've always done. My mother's a teacher. I've always been into history. I've always been part of these projects. My mentors, Dr. Harry Edwards, who's up there in the Bay Area, Dr. John Carlos, Dr. Tommy Smith, men that have done it, protesters, guys. And so, I've always leaned on them. I always talked to them. Those are my brothers. And so I'm able to give students a real world example of knowledge, to be able to bring behind the scenes what really happened in the 6-day Olympics, what really happened with when you talk about fair trade and Spencer Haywood and the 4-year college rule. So we try to bring all these things to class and just, be the conduit between a Kaepernick and a Dr. John Carlos, or to let them know, to put things in context and kind of just make sure we honor those that came before us and really recognize the greatness of these young kids or young men that have taken the banner and have run with it and are doing some great things.
Yeah, and it's activism in sports and culture. What I called you Professor Weber, on social media. I mean, it's got to be fun. I know your mom was a teacher, and I just how's the course been so far? How have the students been, and have you had to discipline anybody?
No, I haven't had to diss anybody. It's online at Coursera if anyone wants to take it, or if you happen to be in Atlanta and a student in Morehouse, you're more than welcome. It's been awesome. And again, being that I bring these people to them, so I don't just say, here, read about the 1968 Olympics and here are some articles. I say, well, read this. And by the way, this is the man that put his fist up in defiance, and let's go in it a little deeper. And so just being able to have those relationships, I know that I'm giving these students and onlookers access that they don't have, because these gentlemen are more private than myself. And so I get them to really talk about those times in ways that, you know, even if they have a book or even if other things have happened, they just, you may not have seen them with the intensity in their speech that they're speaking, because we recall some really tough times. So it's been an honor. The students have been great. It's been fun. And, you know, at the same time, we've had some tough conversations, but it's in a safe space. So, you know, I'm really, you know, it's something that, you know, I hope my mother's proud of, because I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for, you know, the way that she raised me.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, I got to imagine that it's no easy A though, right?
No, it's no easy A, unless, you know, you got some, you know, no,
Yeah,
no
right.
easy A. And what's really great is that, you know, the metrics and the way that we do a lot of it too is that, you know, you're also getting graded by, you know, your peers. And so a lot of times your peers and students in class are tougher on you than the profession can be. And so again, hopefully we all learn, and hopefully it just teaches us how we can all use our voice and how voices have been used in the past to help the marginalized.
Yeah, I know we're talking about switching gears a little bit. I know, you know, coming up in just a few weeks, you're a Hall of Fame finalist again, and I actually kind of feel like whatever it is, the signs, the stars are aligning or whatever, because not only are you a finalist again, but now you've got your coach who you adore, Rick Adelman, is a finalist, and another person, Yolanda Griffith with the Tide of Sacramento, the former Monarchs legend, WNBA All-Star. I know you get asked about it a lot, and you want to treat it'd be nice to get into the Hall of Fame, to honor those, your first coach, your father, things of that nature, because it's more of a celebration of the people that get you to that point. I totally understand that. But does it almost feel like maybe this thing can come together the right way, where maybe you go in with someone like a Yolanda Griffith, a Rick Adelman, people you have a really close relationship with and shared those experiences with?
You know, I think it's so much of a personal journey that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for Coach, who is such a great coach, who helped my career so much. But, you know, that would be for the people of Portland as well. He took to the finals twice. You know, Yolanda Griffith won a championship for the city. She deserves that time. So all that would be cool. But, you know, what we've done in the past should be the perfect timing, and hopefully for, you know, everyone, it is.
What would it mean? I mean, would it be an emotional phone call that you make? I mean, that you get that if it's to happen?
You know, it definitely, I would definitely take time with family and friends to reflect, I'm sure. You know what I mean? It's something that, you know, you don't want to think about, you know? So, you know, Sean, honestly, I'm sure, you know, every emotion in the world will come out, but at the same time, that shouldn't happen until it happens. And so with that, I don't know. The number one thing I know is I know the work I put in, and, you know, you have to take solace with that. You know, you have to take solace for that. No one deserves just to go into the Hall of Fame just because you're born or just because you did a couple things. But at the same time, I'm at peace with whatever happens, because I've had to be at peace with that. And that's why you got to know thyself. And, you know, it would be a great honor, though.
For sure. And I love the fact that I'm talking to you. Even, I mean, you know, I don't even know, maybe you just ignore this about me, but I don't even know if you know that I'm a Duke fan, that I grew up a Duke fan because of Grant Hill and
all
all
that.
That's
why I don't like it.
That's why you don't like it. Even we can get along. But it's just so cool to me to be able to talk to you at this time when Michigan's in the Sweet 16 and you're one of your best friends and brother for life. Juwan Howard is doing what he's doing, taking that Wolverines team to this part of the year. And just how much are you enjoying their run and just what Juwan has been able to accomplish?
Yeah, Juwan is doing some fabulous things, but it doesn't really surprise me. It doesn't mean that, you know, he's entitled to winning, because he's not. It doesn't surprise me because he knows he has to earn it. You know, where we come from, you're not given anything. He loves the kids. You know, he's been coached by some great coaches, and he knows what it takes. And so I'm really not surprised. I'm just proud of him. Just want him to keep going, and I'm really proud of his kids because I know he asks a lot of his kids. He's not an easy coach to play for. He's a great coach to play for, but he's going to challenge you. You know, he wants you to get better. He's played with the best. He believes in you more than you do yourself, so he's going to pull that out of you. And so it's just been fun, man. It's been an honor. It's been a blessing. And again, that's one of the many reasons why I'm just so thankful that I get to see my brothers, you know, thriving and doing their thing.
2 years ago, when you were in Sacramento, myself and my coworker Lena Washington, we saw you at Sac State, and I got to see that speech that you shared with those students. And you know you've done it a lot, and it's a motivational moment. And I know it's never easy to talk about. I've known talking to you from back in the early 2000s to now, and you've gotten more comfortable in talking about the moment in Michigan, the timeout, and how there's a foundation, and how your mother had a license plate of timeout after that, and how hard it was to get over. So because of that now, and using that as motivation, and I love the fact that you were able to talk about it and open up about it and use it for people to draw inspiration.
I got to stop you, Sean.
Yeah.
I've never not talked about it. That's you listening like to an ESPN documentary or to a guy saying Chris is not talk about it. I've probably given 70 speeches a year, every year since the timeout. That's not true. I've always embraced it.
No, what I mean is
no. When people say more comfortable,
yeah,
I think no one asked about it. Like, no one asked about it. That if you ask anyone, if anyone can talk about it anytime. I've never been embarrassed. I'm not more open now to talking about it. I think because I have a book next year and people have asked more. But yeah, that's something, especially with people, I've used to connect and to make sure that, you understand people that were born where I'm born, where I come from, or certain parts like Oak Park, other places. Like, you don't have the luxury to sit and cry. You got to cry, pray, and get your butt back up and keep going. So when you look at what my father's done, being born in Mississippi, the racist ass South on a plantation, the timeout doesn't compare to that. So I've always understood the ebbs and flows of my life and how it compared to the generation that came before me. And it's made me that much more grateful that I didn't have to go through what he did. I'd call 100 timeouts before I'd have to live on a plantation, pick cotton, be told I can't go to a certain school, can't look white people in the eyes, watch a black man get hung while they sell popcorn. That's what my father went through. So
yeah,
put that in perspective, So that's just to give you a little perspective. In a nutshell, that's how I think. If anyone ever gets confused, that's how I balance my sanity. God is great.
No, I'm glad you said that, because I think I don't want to make what I wanted to mention was in the early 2000s, I remember having to approach you in a way to talk about it. And I remember the conversation we had then compared to fast forward to 2019 when I saw you speak about it the way you did. And it was like, oh my gosh, like, not that it was all that different, but like how easier maybe it came. I'm not sure. I don't mean that you wouldn't talk about it, because I wanted to ask you that and have that conversation. But I will say this.
It's just different, probably. You probably see things in me I don't. Yeah. So it's just probably. Yeah. Okay.
Because I know that I could talk to you about that in the early 2000s. And I know when I can have conversations, even to this day, with you about the Lakers series, and then the mannerism and the way it kind of just, okay, things get a little more somber because it does represent a moment. And that was the first time I had seen you to use it in a way that was uplifting. And even in the conversation that we had early in the 2000s, not that it still came off uplifting, but I could tell how much of a burden it was. So to be able to use that burden in the way it is in 2019.
That's your interpretation. It was never a burden. It was never a burden during the league. How could it be a burden when I was the number one pick after?
No,
like,
maybe not.
A burden for me would be supposed to be pick number one and be pick seventh. You got to understand people's personalities. Like, a burden is what fits your personality, right? Stress is equal with everyone. Pressure, all that's equal. Is what part that gets to you, and so that's just not accurate. It never was a burden. It's not accurate.
And maybe that's the wrong word. Maybe what I meant was I felt your pain in when you were sharing that story. Maybe that's what I meant. I don't know. But regardless,
hopefully people do feel the pain at that time. But I could not have the success that I had in the league if I would have carried a timeout around.
Right. Well, and that makes it easy for me to ask. I mean, it's great that you're able to share that moment and open up about it. and use it to inspire others. Because to me that was the first time I've been able to see you in that setting do that. And one of the things I took from it is like
there was kids around, so that was kids, so
they loved it.
Yeah, but that's when I love it. That's when I want to tell them, because the whole story is you're born 1900, you die 1950. There's this little thing in the middle. That's your life. That little dot in the middle. What did you do then? Everybody has a timeout. There are people that went through way worse than me. There are children that have been molested. That's their timeout. How do you leave that in the past at 8 years old and then be a thriving adult? There are people that parents got divorced. That's their timeout. How do you leave that alone and understand that that wasn't about your father not liking you, but it's on? There are people that have made bad choices with drugs, crack and other things, and have messed up their family. How do you forgive yourself, keep going, and get back to it? So that's the perspective from day one that I had. The only other perspective was, dang, why me? I mean, I could tell this story without having that. So when it was kids there or in other environments, and maybe that's what it is, one-on-one, it's a different talk, but anytime, like I said, I speak 70, 75 times a year with the subject of timeout to make sure that people don't sit there and feel sorry for themselves. It's time to cry. But after we cry, damn it, we got to get up and run. And so, hopefully, and I know that it has, because people have told me, hopefully that pain has inspired a few more people that have gone through way worse than I have, but because they see it and other people see it, they don't realize I admire the strength in them. That's when I look at people, I take strength from them, because I get that it's a struggle, that is tough, that is rough, that is lonely, that is quiet, and all those things. And so for me, that stuff has always made me stronger. And so maybe I didn't allow the media, I'm sure, to see it then, but I damn sure know Black and brown communities have heard that story thousands of times.
For sure. And that Sac State auditorium, I mean, there must have been at least 500 people in there. And when you get that many young people in a group, it's hard to keep them quiet. And they were quiet when they were hearing that.
Nobody threw an apple at me, and it was cool.
Yeah. Because when you think about the two low moments, the timeout, and then you think of the Kings-Lakers series, which I don't even know if it's fair to compare, but which one hurts more to this day?
First, they're not low moments. I would have signed up for this life 25 times over. So they're not low moments. I don't know what that means. The timeout hurt. I was 18. It was tough. I was drafted number one a couple months later. It made it easier. Sacramento was tough because we wanted to win so bad for our city, for our second home, for our fans. We wanted to win one in the big state of California and say the little guys did it, So it was tough, losing that. But the low moments or things like that, man, this is sports. A low moment is somebody dying in your life that you love. 500,000 people. Like, hopefully Corona set straight what low moments and high moments are. But for me, both were tough, and I wouldn't change either one. And I've thought about this. If I had one game that I wanted my son to watch, it would be my timeout game. I had 28 points. I was the best player on the floor, and I called a timeout and lost the game. And if your daddy did that, look what he did after that. You know what I mean? That's the true testimony, what you did after that. And so the fact that I didn't stop, the fact that I had a great career, that's perseverance. Those are the rules. Get back up. And so that's what I would want my son to see, to get back up in him, because his daddy is a dog and a beast, and we don't jump off bridges, and he'll get that. And so I'm proud of the way that I responded from the timeout. Most people, I don't think, could have responded that way. So I don't really look at anything as low moments. I look at it like I had a great full career. I thank God for it. And if I came back reincarnated, I want to come back as myself. And have the same exact life. So it was a wonderful experience. And, God used Sacramento in my life in such a way that, my whole NBA career was complete because of my time in Sac. You know what I mean? That's a blessing, bro. To think that you're headed for someplace that you don't want to go, and to think that it's not a good opportunity, but to realize it's a blessing from God for you there. That's humbling, and that's cool. Trust me. I hope a lot more people in their life can experience God's grace in that area.
No, and I know how much Sacramento means to you at this point. It always has once you got here. And there's so many things you do in this community that go unnoticed, and stuff that you won't let me talk about and won't let me shine light on. And thankfully, you're letting me do one today. And it's really the reason why I have you. And it's a venture into cannabis, and it's a business, and you chose Sacramento to be a part of this. And I want to start there because obviously you've partnered with an organization to put $100 million to minority businesses in the cannabis industry. And I look at this and see cannabis, no matter what you think of it and anything that happens with it, but it is a business, and it's almost like the new Silicon Valley and technology. And to see you trying to find areas for representation for both minority, Black, brown, women, whoever it may be, representation within this industry, I find fascinating. And I just want to know what the biggest drive is for you to do that.
The biggest drive is to give people access. You know, again, my father's background is something that all he needed was access. He didn't need a handout. He's a hard worker. And so there's so many hard workers that just need an opportunity and access. And with my partner, Jason Wild, and our firm, we plan to do that, not just through lending, not just through training, not just through the job sourcing, but to really be there infrastructure-wise, to really help people, whether it's with their IP, whether it's with their systems, how they're running things. And so I'm looking forward to it. Sacramento is my second home. Releasing a C4 strain with Fior and cookies, and that's personal. And business-wise, we're about to do some exciting things for the community that supported us, and I mean myself. And it would be dumb for me to do anything in Sacramento without my brother, Matt Barnes. And so I'm really excited about some plans we have for Sacramento that will be enacting very soon. Sean, I'll be hitting you on that. But it's just opportunity. I'm just competitive, and I've been in this, and I've been successful. And I've been in rooms with a lot of people, and none of them look like myself, or none of them were women, or none of them were from certain places. And I plan on just changing that. It's time for more inclusion, not only through changing of laws, not only through protecting our voting rights, not only through making sure we hold people accountable, but also in using our financial power to bring people into the party. Because the more people we bring in, the more robust, the more complete the industry will be. And so I hope that this works. I know it will, but I hope that it works so that we can show leaders in other industry that it's not just about cannabis. I told a friend of mine, all it is I'm just going to the unmined ground. You guys may not be familiar with this group of people. You may not be familiar with this territory, with that dirt, but it's gold under there, meaning the hearts and the souls of those people. And that's what we're going to mine, and that's what we're going to go get. And so I'm looking forward to, bringing people in that were so wrongly targeted by these same laws. You know, if you're Black or brown, 10 times more likely, or if you're Black and brown, it's less than 5% of even this business. But believe me, it's more than a percentage of that have been affected adversely by the laws and by locking people up for the same plant. So I definitely hope to make a change. And I think, if we can do that one person at a time, one business at a time, it'll help change communities as a whole. So just want to hopefully do some good things.
I know, when you look at the selection process and trying to find people, like there's obviously a lot of decisions that have to go into that. But for you, what's the right feeling that you need to have before you invest in somebody like in this industry?
Well, it's the same as in any business. I mean, what's your record? Do you have a business plan? What's your work ethic? Do I align with your mission statement? Who are you? Tell me about yourself, and to be able to find out where we align, where we can work together, or maybe where we can help you with some training and bring you back in a little bit. So it's been some of the letters we receive and some of the communications I've had has been heartbreaking when you find out the way that families have been broken up for years and what's going on. And to hopefully be able to just repair a little bit or allow people to come in and repair it themselves is an awesome feeling. And so it's the same as any other business venture. It's not a giveaway or welfare because these people don't need it. These people are hard workers. They just need access. And that's I want to change the definition of this social equity is the people with their hand out. These aren't people with their hand out. These are people that have been working hard and said, listen, if I have access to this, I can do so much more, make you profitable and my family. That's a really good part about it. So there's a lot of factors that factor into it. I'm sure as many people know, and it'd be hard to say 1, 2, or 3 now, but it's about a whole feeling. It's about giving opportunity. And it basically starts with the plan, the soul, and the heart of the person.
That's well said. I think when you look at cannabis too, and like I said, some of the walls are coming down when it comes to cannabis. People are more open to it. Laws are different now. For you, how have you benefited from it in your life? And now that you're into the business side of it, do you just kind of look back and go, man, things are, if only 20 years ago, if only 15 years ago, things were different.
Well, even 15 years ago, I knew that it was just about a money grab when we could figure out how to be taxed. And that's what we're seeing now when you see the politicians that have retired to get in this industry. So I look at it like, man, we missed out on a lot of health benefits for myself, sleep, for myself, swelling. It works with inflammation, mood enhancement, things like that. So, anxiety for a lot of my friends that are servicemen now. Are allowed to use the oils and things. And so it's not just, I don't look at cannabis as smokable. I look at it as things that can be ingested as well. And we're just not hitting the surface on the healing properties inside the cannabis plant. And that's what, more so in looking back at what I'm upset about, I'm more excited about how just things that I've seen, the effect in different people's lives with horrific disease, all the way to people myself that just have, bad arthritis and things like that. I've seen what it can do. And I'm just excited for the narrative on it to be taken down and more research, because research is the only thing that's going to really build the true confidence of the public. I've been lucky to see some of this research, and I can't wait till a lot of it gets out.
And the NBA doesn't even test for it this year, and most people think it probably won't going forward. How encouraging is that to you?
Well, I think it's encouraging if, guys in the league want to use those healing properties. I know baseball players and hockey players, friends of mine, do now. So the NBA is last in on that ship, but I'm sure it'll help guys. How? It depends on each individual, and I don't want to sit here and just be an advocate. I think people need to learn and to go down the rabbit holes themselves, but it starts with research, it starts with data, and data shows the healing properties of this cannabis plant. It's been used for tens of thousands of years. And, hopefully people can understand, again, the healing properties of it really soon.
And I can't imagine, as we wind down here, I can't imagine 15 years ago, you would have been like, okay, I'm going to have my own cannabis strain. I'm going to have my own brand, my own company, to where you're doing now. And if anyone follows you on social media, they saw the C4 strain on your social media. What can you tell us about that and what's going on with cookies this Saturday?
Yeah, so the C4 strain is a heavy indica strain. Indica is more relaxing. Other properties won't get as hype. And I'm proud to be there. Shout out to Cookie Sacramento. Those are my people. And I'm really excited about really dropping, I'm from Detroit. Sacramento is my home, and I look at those two places, and when I thought about where to drop the strain, Sacramento only made sense because it's Cali, baby, and Sacramento, and I wanted sports fans from the beautiful bags and things like that, and other things that we're going to roll out, some surprises that I have coming there. I just wanted, the community hopefully to experience it and let me know what they thought about it first. And also in LA as well, Cookies Made With. So really excited about the release this Saturday of C4.
Weber Wellness and players only. Did I get that right?
Yeah. So the company's Weber Wellness and players only. You'll be seeing that soon, and we're really excited about what we have planned for that. But this is our partnership with Players Only and Fior. and the great cultivators over there. And so just excited about the first of many releases, but to have your own strain for people out there, it's a pretty big deal. Out of about 13,000, 14,000 seeds, was able to work with some wonderful scientists and cultivators that really brought the properties that I wanted out of the plant. And for me, with bad back and necks and other things like that, and also, just everything for me was just wonderful. So shout out to Fior, shout out to Cookies, and shout out to Sacramento. Hope you guys come check it out.
Yeah, you're just the next in a long line of people getting into this. I know Matt Barnes, as you mentioned, even Brad Miller has his own thing. So it's, Kings players represented, they understand the benefits of cannabis and CBD, and it's kind of cool to see right now, because I know personally people who have been, their qualities of life have improved. And obviously, like I said earlier, walls are being broken down. And if anyone kind of bristles at it, all they have to do is kind of see some of the benefits and some of the things in medicinally that can help out with this. And you're seeing it in professional sports, as you mentioned, baseball, hockey. I've seen it in the UFC, and it seems like the walls are just keep coming down, and it's much more accepted now.
Yeah. And people, listen, be skeptical. And if you're kids and you're under 18, turn this off now, because if I see you with it, I'm going to kick you in your chest. But, you're supposed to be skeptical, people. So choose for yourself. Go get the information. But, I'm actually business partners with my man, Brad Miller. So he's my bodyguard in case somebody wants to fight. And definitely Matt Barnes is my guy. And so, love those guys, and have definitely done a lot on cannabis with both of them, and look forward to keep doing some things there, especially in Sacramento this Saturday, but really with the community and business and cannabis very soon. Shout out to Matt Barnes again, who's my man, and I know we're gonna do some great things there together.
It's a limited release. It's almost like Top Shot. This is almost like NBA Top Shot or memorabilia. It's a limited release, C4 strain, a limited release.
I didn't want to say it that way, because I want to make sure that, the cannabis community has access. But yeah, this is a limited release, and I have a couple of sports fans that I know, friends of mine, that are going to try to beat everyone to the punch, and they're not cannabis users. So I hope everyone gets out there to Cookie Sack early, because you never know. It's not a card show, but you never know. Some guys might treat it like that, because this is limited, and this will be the only time in this small batch with these bags and memorabilia around that it'll be dropped. So it is a special occasion. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm very excited.
No, I can, and I know what it means. I think it's great. I wish you the best of luck for it. It's gonna look like a sneaker drop outside of Cookies on Saturday.
I hope so. I hope so, man. And shout out to Sac. I do not take your love for granted, and always appreciate the love.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you making this time. I'm sure I went way over the time you were expecting, and I apologize. No one gave me a time limit. It's like, me, I just keep talking shit and tell me to shut up.
That's professionalism. You got to do what you got to do. No worries at all, man. I appreciate it, Sean.
I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon, and hopefully next time we do this, it's in person.
Oh, it will be. It will be. Well, as long as it's crazy to stop. But I get my shot soon, so it will be, baby. I'll let you.
I got you, man. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
Have a good one.
You too, bro.